Dan Zitofsky, Passive Wealth Academy. Number one, it's a pleasure seeing you in real life.
Yes, it is.
We're going to talk about social media. But Passive Wealth Academy, talk about this. Let's get into it in the book and everything. I want to know everything. So we'll start at the beginning. Why?
Because I wanted to get out there what I see going on in the industry, right? Social networking it could be good and it could be really bad. What's happening in the industry is everybody's doing this business, and when you really back it out to why people are doing the business, ultimately it's like, I want to get my spouse out of their job. I want to retire. I don't want to worry about the government. I want to put my kids through college. I want to live the prosperous life. But then their actions are speaking so much different. They're all out there, we're flipping 1,000 properties. We're buying cars. We're buying boats. We're doing all the stuff. All the stuff I did, right? Cars, boats, watches.
Like the liabilities.
Yeah, stuff that doesn't make you money. And really, I was called, I say it all the time, unfortunately, I was the most unsuccessful millionaire you'll ever meet in your life.
Well, explain that. What did that mean?
Because I didn't have, what I was chasing is growing up. I think I got into this a little bit. Growing up, I grew up in a tough life. Parents split up. Father was never really home. He worked, he pays the bills, he was never really home. As a teenager, my mother was gone, so I was kind of left on my own to pay my own bills, do my own thing. So I always thought, man, I'm going to get out, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to make a lot of money, and I'm going to prove to everyone I'm successful, because I was always told I'm a loser, I'm going to make nothing of myself. Whatever I did, I wasn't going to accomplish, and I was just so adamant about becoming successful. And I thought being successful was driving the nicest car. So everybody was like, oh, look at this guy's car. Having the nicest watches.
You thought it was external.
Yes.
For how long did you think that?
A long time. I was doing this for a good, probably 20 years, working 100 plus hours a week. I had a beautiful wife, still do. I have 3 amazing kids. And it got to the point, fast forward all those years, I was closing and flipping 30 to 40 properties every month. I was making $50,000 and up a property, so figure it out. I was making multiple 7 figures a year. But my wife turned around and she's like, and we had an argument. I remember like it was yesterday. And in our argument, it was back and forth, and basically I was just fighting with her. And I was like, I give you everything. I did all the stuff for you that my parents never did for me. How could you not be happy? And she cut me by the knees, and she basically just said, we didn't want any of it. We just want you. And I crushed. I started crying. I'm choking up. This was like 2000, it's about 8 years ago now. And I crushed because I thought I did everything right to fix everything wrong in my life. And I didn't know what to do, right? It's like put a knife in your back, and when your wife tells you you're not a good husband, you're not a good father, and you thought you were, and now you think about how your parents treated you, and what do you do? What else do you do? I didn't know what to do. So I switched gears at that point, and I really focused on what can I do to really make myself happy.
What was the biggest actual thing that you did to change those gears?
I sat down. I really went through a long process of changing my thought process. I figured out what I wanted out of this. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I flipping all these properties? To make money. Why was I looking to make money? Because I wanted to have a lifestyle with my wife and kids. But I was never there. I was there, but I was never there. I was working 100 plus hours a week. She was taking me on vacations where I couldn't even get cell phone service. On dinners on Sunday night, I was outside of the restaurant talking. Our friends were there, our family were there. I was never there. So I was never around. Yeah, I made a lot of money, but it didn't do anything for me. So I made that switch back then, and I said, I got to really earn passive income. How do I do this? And I said, I know how to do this business. I know how to flip houses. I know how to make passive income, but I'm chasing money so I can buy the things that don't matter. And that's what killed me, right? So I learned how to buy the things and really ramp it up, right? I tell people, $200-300 per door. It's not sexy, right? You can't go out and buy your Ferraris and your Lamborghinis with $200-300 a door. Well, do it 637 times, like we're doing it. It gets kind of sexy.
Explain that. How do you mean?
Well, what we do is we raise capital to buy non-performing assets from the banks, from hedge fund managers. Okay. So we buy non-performing notes, we buy REOs, so foreclosures, we buy tax liens, and we also buy distressed sellers in emerging markets, good quality emerging markets.
So markets that are growing and expanding, these are properties or assets that aren't.
Right.
So you'll raise money and buy them.
Exactly.
And then what happens?
And then what I do is I turn them into usually rental properties, turnkey rentals, or I sell them off to investors. I usually only work with investors, and I try to hold the note for them. So what I do is I get a down payment to get all my money back, and then I put them on a 10-year note. Okay, so I don't have to deal with toilets, tenants, or trash. Okay, and I have no responsibility. I have a servicing company that collects all my payments, and they deposit right in my bank. So, but you would have to, the problem with most investors is they want everything quick, right? They want to get rich quick, right?
Yeah.
Everything's get rich quick. We talk about social media, right? People don't want to spend the time doing what it takes to build up the followers, right? Or they don't give to get, right? I've always learned give to get, and that's why I have so many followers.
So is your strategy not get rich quick? It's get rich and keep it? What is the strategy?
Exactly. Get rich slow and keep it steady. So the market conditions don't matter, right? So you take that stress out of it. I'm not jumping from career to career. Okay, I'm steadily going up. I don't make these big hits anymore, but I steadily go up.
So is your past mentality big hit, short-term win, watches?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any left for me?
Oh,
just kidding. I'm just kidding. So I want to talk about the book, the beginning, middle, end. If someone, they want to invest in this book to learn this knowledge, what's the main reason why they need to read this book?
They want to create passive wealth.
Passive to prosperous.
They want to create passive wealth. They're not looking to get in this book. This book is not going to teach them how to flip a house. Okay. It's not going to teach them how to be a wholesaler. It's not going to teach them how to buy multifamily buildings. It's going to teach them creating passive wealth by ultimately, the end game is, where is the end game for everybody? Become the bank.
So start with what your end game is. Go back and figure out how to become the bank.
Exactly.
Now, you've been doing a lot of speaking.
Right.
Last year, I saw you all over Facebook. I follow you, stalked you. We met through friends.
I know.
We talked on the phone a couple of times. We never got to meet in person until
awesome.
today.
It was like the accumulation of time we met. It was like there was a love.
We know each other.
It was like
already.
love.
So it's crazy. Awesome. How has social media impacted your life? Negative, positive, all the ways. What is the truth?
Social media has impacted my life in a positive way, but it also could be a negative way. Okay, you got to be really careful with social media. How it's impacted me in a positive life is because you really get to see people at how they are, right? Okay. I got to meet you through social media. We feel like we know each other for years. I've met some of my closest friends through social media. But the problem I see with social media and what I don't like about it, because I'll give you what I don't like about it, is people can be whoever they want on social media. And that's why we've coined, Matt kind of says fake book. And it's true. You could be whoever you want on social media. But here's the problem. Sometimes you go on social media, and I'm really careful, and I try not to put out there everything I'm doing with business-wise, because I don't want people to look at me and say, well, that's you, that's not me. And people say, how'd you get 637 doors? And I tell them one door at a time. Don't worry about me. Worry about yourself. Get yourself there. Here's the thing on social media. People put stuff up there. A lot of times it's fake because it makes them feel better. And what happens is the person on the other end watching the social media figures out, like, they start to look at themselves and they're like, well, why can't I be like that? And they start to get really depressed. And I'm always very careful. I'm like, because you don't know who's on the other end of that social media watching you. And if you're an authority, and now we're an authority out there like you are, because we're asked to speak at a lot of events. We do some keynote speaking now, and I love it. That's my passion, is really getting, I can hit somebody with a keynote speech on my life, and a lot of times I'm touching nerves for them on what's going on in their life. Everyone puts up a shield. And social media allows people to do that. But what I do love about social media, it allows me to find real people. And allows me to find, your company name Culture Matters is amazing.
Thank you.
Because I've said that for years. Culture really matters in a company to me. I go into a company, I speak with them, I do consulting with them, and first thing I look at is the culture there. So culture matters. You coined it perfectly, my brother.
I appreciate that so much.
Perfectly.
Now, 2019, because you've done so much in the last 8 years since you switched your mindset totally, completely. What's it look like for you 2019 and beyond?
2019, I want to kind of change my image a little bit. I want my image more to be kind of like what you're doing, more of what I'm doing, more of the keynotes, more of the whys, why to. Okay, how to break your barriers, how to live that life you want to live, rather than the how-tos. I don't want to constantly be teaching people how to do this. There's a million people out there that'll teach that, but I think the problem is once you get to people to realize what their end goal is, what their vision is, then their actions have to meet their vision. A lot of times that's the disconnect.
Switch. It is a disconnect. So and it was for you at one point for all those years.
Huge disconnect.
So switching someone in the audience's or a client's mindset to have the breakthrough that it took you all those years to figure out.
Right. If I could stop them from what they're truly. And if you talk to all these people that you think make a lot of money and drive these beautiful cars, if you truly get behind the curtains, you're going to find out most of them are unhappy.
Wow.
That's their ego. That's why they're out there with the ego. Because why do you need that? It's mostly an ego thing, right? And I've had that. And I always say this. I love nice cars, but they lose the giggle real quick.
The exhaust. Now, if you were knowing what you know today, able to have a conversation with yourself 9 years ago and you had a minute, what are you saying to who you were?
What's important to you in life? Because I would never thought, like, I always chased that car, I always chased the watch, I always chased the boat, and it was an ego thing for me, and it was a cover-up for basically like depression you going through because of the life you lived, and it was but what was really important for me? To do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, anytime I want. And that's my wife and my kids and my friends. So that's really what I would change back then. Stop chasing things and chase experiences and time.
We're at this event, Real Estate Recovery Group. You're a big part of it. I see you with Matt Marinoff everywhere. Big shout out to him.
Yes, he's great.
We walk out these doors. There's hundreds of people here. There's a culture.
There is.
What about that drives you?
I love the passion. I love the action takers. I love people wanting to get better at their craft and life. Ultimately, if you want to get better at your craft, it's because you want to be better at life. So that's what drives me. If I can change a couple, and I know it sounds commercialized, but if I could change a few people in that room to really dig down deep and to look at themselves in the mirror and realize why I'm doing what I'm doing, and they can make that change, or they can make themselves a little bit better, then I've done what I'm here to do. I mean, that's my passion.
I love that. It's funny. I think someone said to me once, it was a speaker, like, there's only 7 people here. And I was like, what if Stalin's mother was in the audience?
I love it.
Could have stopped a war, man. And I feel like we have that in common.
I love it. This is great.
This is awesome.
And it was
we can talk all day.
It was a pleasure being on here because I really look up to you and what you're doing.
Thank you.
You're going to be on the upswing, huge. And I'm honored that I could say I'm here with you. Really,
It means a lot.
It really does.